Hello, my name is Abigail Piles, and this presentation is going to be on internal respiration and hemoglobin binding of oxygen and carbon dioxide. So first things first, the location. Obviously, external respiration would be happening in the lungs, the rest breathing in and breathing out. That would be our respiratory system. And internal respiration is going to take place in the tissue and in between cells so that oxygen can transport, or the blood cells can transport the oxygen, and it can be diffused, and then the blood cells can transport the carbon dioxide and diffuse, and so on and so forth. And the process is going to be what metabolizes the tissue by diffusing this oxygen out of the blood and getting the carbon dioxide waste out of the cells, because carbon dioxide is going to be the waste product of this process. So next is the process of internal and external respiration. We covered this a little bit in the last slide. So external respiration is what's bringing in the oxygen through our mouths, through our nose, to our lungs, and it's going to let out the carbon dioxide waste. And so obviously this is a gas exchange, and it is both voluntary and involuntary. And internal respiration, again, that's going to be what happens in between the cells and the tissues, and it's a metabolic process that is going to produce energy. It's using that oxygen so that we can move and run around and do the things that we need to do, and then letting out, again, that carbon dioxide waste from the chemical reaction that happens. And you can see that here, where the oxygen is entering the blood and then being transported, then it gets diffused, and then the carbon dioxide's getting diffused. After that, then it's being transported and is being entered and all of that stuff. And internal respiration is also always going to be an involuntary process, because you can't think to just do internal respiration. Partial pressures just driving the oxygen, or the exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide. The oxygen is going to decrease due to the external environment because of the tissues and because of the blood diffusion and everything like that. Carbon dioxide is also going to decrease, but for the opposite reason, and it just creates this whole cycle process with the oxygen decreasing due to the external environment to the tissues, and the carbon dioxide vice versa. It's going to create this constant cycle that is going to keep going on forever until we ultimately pass away. Any issues with the diffusion process are going to end up resulting in hypoxia. And then just to know how to calculate the diffusion rate, it's going to be surface area times concentration gradient times barrier permeability. And as you can see over here, you're going to start with the inhaled air that's going out, and then you can see the exhaled air going out and the inhaled air going in, and then it's going to go through all of this through pulmonary circulation and being transported and diffused and everything like that, and then systematic circulation going all the way back up and being exhaled. So molecules being carried by the hemoglobin and the plasma. So about 98% of the oxygen is going to be carried by red blood cells that's stored in the hemoglobin. As well, 2% of that oxygen is actually going to be dissolved in the plasma, almost as kind of sacrifices for passing through. And the carbon dioxide is diffused out of the cell and through those systematic capillaries, and only about 7% is actually going to diffuse into the plasma. Again, kind of as a sacrifice, but more since carbon dioxide is a waste product, we're not necessarily going to need it as much as the oxygen, so we're okay with it giving out a little bit more carbon dioxide than oxygen. And then from then on, the carbon dioxide will be unbundled from the hemoglobin and diffusing out to the RBC, and this reaction will also be reversing the effects of the bonded hemoglobin transforming it back into carbon dioxide, so then it can be exhaled. And then pulmonary ventilation is where oxygen is entering and then carbon dioxide is exiting, so us breathing in the oxygen and then exhaling the carbon dioxide is alveoli. Respiration is just where oxygen and carbon dioxide is being diffused in and out of the blood so that we have energy to do things that we need to do every day. So ventilation. Now, it's just, I thought it would be important to just kind of understand a little bit how the lungs are working in this process. And obviously they're bringing in the oxygen and the lungs are just allowing us to bring in that oxygen that we need in order to do the whole diffusion process. And then basically they're just filling up with air and then going back down once we exhale, and they are always going to return to their natural position after the air is pushed out, so your lungs are going to be perfectly fine after you breathe, after being pushed against your ribs. And they contain elastic tissues, so allowing them to inflate